First one, what was your inspiration to become a psychology professor?
I wanted to do research, so I started out being a school teacher in English, and when I guess part of it must have been that, like just being around kids and having trying to understand that, but I really wanted to get into research, and I just always liked psychology, so it was kind of the research that I wanted to get into. I also, like I read things and like, Robert Sapolsky and, I don't know, just things, researchers, especially with animals, evolutionary psychology, and little by little, it just guided me to this field.
Okay. Okay, so then do you have any plans of going further with your career, and if so, what are they?
Yes, so currently I'm doing my PhD in psychology.
Okay.
And again, my hope, if everything went well, would be to become a professor in a 4-year university where I could do research. And that would really be sort of the main goal. Now I have plans to, after I'm done with my PhD, get certification and then maybe start going into therapy, because I think I could do that well as well, but my main goal would be research if I could do it.
Okay. And not on this, but to be able to do therapy, is it just a master's degree or?
It depends on which state you're in. So every state has different rules. I think in Florida, you have to have a master's degree, and then you have to be certified, which means you usually have to do like several hundred hours under a psychologist, but also through
so like
through
kind of like
program.
a residency?
Right, like a residency. So you have, you go through, let's say UCF, and then through UCF you get your residency where you're doing 100 hours or 200 hours with a licensed professional, and that would go towards your certification. So
Okay.
it's very specific, and
I'll have
it's
to look
not
into
the
that.
easiest thing to do that. Yes, you
Yeah.
want to know what your main goal is and how to achieve that before you start. Because honestly, I just, I'm going to get my master's. I started, and then essentially midway through, I was like, man, I should have thought about this a little bit more and thought that about a little bit more. And I would have made it easier for myself. Where now, as soon as I'm done with my PhD, then I have to go and do some sort of certification. So it's complex, yeah.
I'm going to have to look into that because I want to like major in psychology, and I was thinking going like pre-med, but
that's actually not a bad idea.
Yeah.
But then for your master's, you want to, you get to choose, depends what type of psychology you're going to do. And you're probably going to want to do a clinical psychology master's, and that has, within it, it'll require you to do the certification, the certification, and so at the end of that, you just have your certification along with your master's degree. Whereas if you do general or you do educational psychology, you're going to end up with your master's, but not as a certification.
Okay.
Also, if let's say what you want to do is become a school psychologist with kids, then clinical psychology won't be enough. You have to do school psychology. It's very specific, and people won't hire you if you don't have the right type of certification. It's crazy.
I'll have to go talk to a guidance counselor
You
then.
absolutely do want to talk to a guidance counselor, yeah.
Okay, so then can you tell me about your career path to your position now? Like, what did you have to do?
Well, like I mentioned, my bachelor's degree was in English education. And I always wanted to be a teacher, always. And then I realized, like, I don't love kids. And I do love them, but they're not my age level.
Yeah.
Right. And so eventually I went back to school to do my master's degree in general psychology. And while I was doing my master's degree, I left teaching and I went to do like little side jobs for a while, And then eventually I got this job, and it's this, by the way, getting a position as a professor, not easy either. I applied and called here probably every week for like 6 months until I gave up. And then another 6 months later, after I had already given up, somebody called me and they were like, hey, can you please come in? It was a very difficult process to get in here.
Yeah,
and
I
I know
know
people
that.
who started before me and still have not been able to get a position. It's very difficult.
Wow.
Yeah, it's complex. But yeah, and so now I'm trying to repeat that same difficult process for a 4-year university, which is, again.
Are you gonna go to UCF, you think? Or?
I would love to do something like UCF or UF or something like that. Because they're research universities, and I would like to do that. Now, here's another problem. Let's say I was going to do my PhD with UCF. I can only choose a research study that one of their PhDs is willing to take on. And so if they're not willing to take that on, I can't do my research in that. And that presents problems if you're trying to get in there. Because sometimes they'll just reject you because the research that you want to do doesn't fall in line with that. And it's, again, it's a lot of pre-planning before you get into those positions. And of course, most people don't know that. You know, most people they try to get in there the way you do in the college. Hey, I'll go in and then I'll figure it out, sort of, as I get in there.
Yeah,
and
I
you
think
realize, no, that's,
so we all do
that's
it.
very difficult to do it that way.
Gotta have a plan.
You have to have a plan, yeah.
Okay, so then I think you already answered this, but then my last one would be, if you had to like redo college, would you go down the same path or would you do it differently?
No, I would absolutely do it differently. In fact, the plan that you were thinking of taking, doing pre-med, I would probably do something like that. Do pre-med as my bachelor's, and then do my master's in either clinical or school psychology. And then eventually I would have just done my PhD. I don't know, probably similarly, because essentially the PhD is just to do research work and to be accepted. And essentially that one, I mean, it's not really as important unless there's a specific reason you want to get this PhD and not that PhD, which I'm sure there's reasons. But in order to get the job you want, your master's is going to be the most important thing there. For psychology. But I think that the bachelor's in pre-med or even nursing or something like that, where it gives you a lot of the technical biology stuff.
See, I was thinking about majoring in biology just in case I decided not to go to med school, because I'm not very good with standardized tests, so I don't know. Because I know that you can't do a whole lot with a psychology degree.
Especially a psychology bachelor's degree, you can't do a lot. But I know a lot of people who do biology or do pre-med, or sometimes they'll do things like microbiology or something that they can, at the end of the bachelor's, if they decide to wait, they can go get a job with that. Yeah. And I think that's important for people too. That's what, nursing is also something that's some people find less threatening, even though, I mean, it's still in the medicine field. But some people find that less threatening, but you're going to get a job at the end of that. And so I would have absolutely taken that route. I mean, obviously I did English education, and at the time that's really what I wanted to do. I really thought that I would love it. So, but yeah, I think that's the best answer I can give you there.
Okay, well, thank you.
No problem.